Good morning, my friends. Welcome to this episode of Healing Your Codependency. I'm Marshall Berkshire, and I'm your guide in helping you reconnect with your real worth, your purpose, and your satisfaction so you can create a life that you enjoy. Today, we're going to jump into a concept called pain versus your story. This is a biggie. This is a central feature of healing trauma, healing our pain, and becoming who we are without that pain. This one might be a little complicated, so I'm going to go slow. We're going to dive into it. But I found this to be absolutely essential to my own healing, to my own peace and freedom, and to my success and satisfaction. Because I'll tell you a story, the narratives we create about the things we go through trap us. They are not useful for our success and our healing. So before we get to that, again, thank you for being here. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you're listening via podcast, thank you for listening. And if you're watching via Facebook, good to see you. My friends, the pain we carry is valid and real, but the story we tell about that pain is not. So what do I mean by story? Story is anything we use to explain why the thing happened. Okay? So usually shows up as, oh, I got rejected and it really hurt because I'm shameful and unwanted. That would be a story. That's not pain. Pain would be, ow, that rejection really hurt. That was embarrassing. That was scary. I feel it in my chest and my gut. It feels like a stabbing pain and all this boiling energy in my belly. That's pain. But then there's the story. It happened because I am. Anytime we say because I am, we are moving into a narrative that explains why a thing happened. And what this does is it starts to shape an identity about ourselves. So in my work, we have two identities. We have what's called the survival identity and then the aligned identity. The survival identity is the culmination of the narratives and stories and self-perceptions we have about who we are and why things happen to us the way they did. So we have survival identities about money and love and relationship and intimacy and closeness and space and attachment and codependency and trauma and what it means to be a man or a woman or whatever it might be. We have narratives about this that have been mostly grown out of cultural influence, our own internal processing on a thing, our pain, our shame, our guilt, our family systems, all of that. And we have aligned identity. Aligned identity is the identity of who we are beyond all these things that is also congruent with the desires or the results we want in our lives that bring us satisfaction, fulfillment, and peace. My big work is to help you guys move from that survival identity to the aligned identity, and so you can have what you want. That's the whole point, right? So, and stories create this survival identity. When we're coming from codependency, we got a lot of them. You know, I'm not lovable because I'm unworthy, because I am too much, I am too little. These are all kinds of stories that we carry about or carry within ourselves because, well, we're trying to explain why people do what they do, trying to make sense of reality, trying to make sense of ourselves. And behind the story is a legitimate experience, a real thing that we have lived through once or twice, many times, and it's associated pain. The reason we think the story is real is because the pain's behind it. A lot of times, us human beings, we believe what we feel. So if I feel something in relationship to this topic, that's what I'm going to believe about the topic. So if someone says, you know, Marshall, here is a pink car, and I feel love and excitement, then I'm going to feel like that pink car is the right thing. But if I feel shame, I can't have that pink car, that's shameful, then I think it's going to be a bad thing. See, emotional experience we have that tends to define our internal truth about a thing. Story creates emotions about our pain and about our experience, and in a way cuts us off from actually being able to access the experience, access the pain, and bring it to rest. So that's why in my work, we work a lot on identifying the story and then unblending ourselves from the story. When we do that, we start that with a process called ALI. We acknowledge what we're feeling, we legitimize our experience, we allow that shift to integrate. It's a way of separating our feelings from our narrative, our pain from our conclusions about ourselves. So a question for you: what story are you telling yourself right now about love, about relationship, about wealth, about your body, about your worth? And notice what emotion comes with it and what justification comes with it. What conclusion there is like, well, I'm unworthy because. What comes after that? That's your narrative. That keeps you stuck. It's kind of a blunt cake that way. Our stories keep us stuck. So what do we do with them? Well, first, acknowledge the story. Oh, I acknowledge that I have a story about my worth. And the story says I'm unworthy because, no wonder I tell myself this story. I was told I was unworthy because, or I was shown or treated as being unworthy because of this. Now we're legitimizing the experience that led to the story. And then we just pause and we see what's there. We listen to how the body responds to that. Like, does it get lighter? Does it open up? Does it relax? What's there? What's going on there? We allow that to be. Sometimes there's pain, sometimes there's shame, sometimes there's grief, sometimes there's a letdown or a release. Let that be there too. Whatever shows up, you can also acknowledge and legitimize. Well, I acknowledge that I'm feeling this sadness after acknowledging and legitimizing the story. Well, of course I'm sad. I'm kind of getting closer to my own pain. Maybe I'm seeing how I might have deceived myself in some way or talked myself out of some way or sabotaged myself with this story. I'm sad about the pain it brought me or brought others or what it prevented me from having. Whatever's there gets to be there. So yeah, we're unblending from your story. We're unblending from that identity in that story. And we are beginning to connect with your lived experience. And then from there, your real pain. Because when we step out of the story, I'm unworthy because, I was rejected by so-and-so. We can go to the lived experience and go, I hurt. I was rejected by someone I liked and I wanted to be with, and that hurt. And I started feeling all this unworthiness come up and all this shame come up because it felt so embarrassing, and I was wondering if there was something wrong with me. Now we're starting to get into that the experience of what was going on. And then behind that, we can listen for, it just really hurt and it was scary. Nobody was there. I didn't know what to do with it. Now we can be with that part. We can connect with that expression of, I am here with you. And of course it was scary. I see that. I feel that. And I'm right here with you in this. We'll walk through this together. That allows us to become our own parent to this part of ourself expressing this pain, and allow that part to finally have the shelter it needs to process its experience and find some peace. That's the work, my friends. We are coming back home to our pain, inviting it back to the table, giving it the love, shelter, and nurture it needs so it can find rest. So your pain matters. Your pain is real. The experience you went through is real. But the narrative or story you've created about that, especially about yourself, even maybe about others, that's likely not accurate, especially if that story is causing you pain. This is the other thing that kind of gets in here. We have our real first pain. Ow, that rejection hurt. And then we tell the story, a rejection happened because I'm ugly. Now we feel shame and anger and towards ourselves because we are reacting to this story as though it's true. So if that's going on, we acknowledge that pain. Of course, I acknowledge that I feel really angry about feeling like I'm ugly and that I don't like myself. And then we can legitimize it. Yeah, I can see that. I can see why you would feel that way, because the story's telling you you're ugly, and you're just like, it's saying, she rejected you because you're ugly. No wonder you get angry, because it hurts. And that allows us to start to separate again from the story and go, well, what if the story's wrong? Maybe she just didn't like me, and that doesn't mean I'm ugly. Maybe it has nothing to do with me. And that's where we can get into a kind of a depersonalization process, where I'm no longer taking their behavior personal. I'm no longer internalizing it as a judgment about me. Instead, I am seeing it as a revelation about them, a clarifier about who they are, what they value, and where they're coming from. We're unblending ourselves from them. We're unblending our worth from them, our identity from them, that characteristic that might be in question from them. That allows us to become more whole, more anchored in ourselves, and allows us to belong more to ourselves and be in our own power and authority with ourselves. So my friends, this is a big work. This can be a challenging work, and it's absolutely a necessary work in becoming free of your codependent identities, free of the codependent impulses that show up, and connecting to and discovering who you are as an advocate for yourself, as a creator in your world, as the powerful, brilliant being you truly be. We've got to let go of our stories. We've got to discover our lived experience. We've got to care for the pain that shows up. Now, note on the lived experience, you don't really need to know the experience to heal. That's not always a requirement. It's not always a thing that comes up, especially when you deal with trauma. But access to the emotional states, the somatic states of tension, resistance, collapse, activation, and those kind of things, we do need to connect with those and bring them through a process to rest in peace. Whether that's, takes 5 minutes or it takes 6 months, we need to care for that pain. Now, sometimes the event comes forward and it's important to us to know it. Sometimes we don't ever get the event to come forward, but we do find peace with the pain. Allow that to be okay. Okay. So if you want assistance in building this kind of foundation in your world, where you're safe enough to be you, safe enough to feel, safe enough to heal, and as well as safe enough to belong and to have your independent self-worth, come join us in the foundation system, because that's what we do. In the foundation, we build the foundation for your safety, because that is the solution to codependency. And we do that in 3 areas. We build emotional safety, we build social safety and belonging, and then we build independent self-worth. That allows us to feel safe enough to advocate for ourselves rather than fawn, please, try to be perfect, and tolerate things that don't work for us. So the link to Foundation is below in the description, or at my website at healyourcodependency.com. Come and join us, and let's do this work together, my friends. So take this to heart. Let's see what you discover in your world as you heal. Let me know your thoughts on today's episode in the comments below, and go gently. I'll see you guys in our next episode. Bye-bye. Hey, thank you for listening to today's episode. Now, are you looking for additional guidance in how to exit your codependency and create a life that's satisfying for you? If so, come join me in my email community. You can do that by going to join.freetheself.com or checking the description below and clicking the link there to join that community. You will receive more mentorship and guidance from me on how to navigate the 3 phases of thriving beyond codependency, those phases being survival, healing, and creation, as well as opportunities to join my courses, workshops, and other trainings that I offer throughout the year. So come join us there, and I will see you in our email community. Bye-bye.